lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. He
missed the complete that. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield before. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
The Ile Notre Dame has seen nearly 40 years of Formula One action in its long history. Hosting modern legends and famous cars many times over, one vehicle this circuit never had grace its pavement during a race was the Lotus 49. But while the real Canadian Grand Prix of 1967 was held at Mosport near Toronto, the beauty of sim racing today means today we get to see what it might have been like had this circuit been built a decade earlier. Let's find out who can wind their vintage machinery through the punishing walls best as we get ready to watch round 10 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes, our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, based on my experience both calling and driving races at this track, I have a feeling it's gonna be a tough one. Tell us about the circuit, Gilles Villeneuve.
Yes, George, right here in lovely Montreal, Quebec, on the man-made Isle of Notre Dame on the St. Lawrence River. Now, this area was originally used as the long-rowing canoeing basin for the 1976 Summer Olympics. They put the racetrack on the island back in 1978, and this circuit has hosted the Canadian Grand Prix 37 times since it opened, with the first race won by Canada's own, the late, great Gilles Villeneuve. This place is something between a street circuit and a natural road course, guys, and the 13 turns scattered over the 4.5 kilometers here of racing surface creates a blend of high-speed curves and tight chicanes, together with a long straightaway preceded by a very tight hairpin. Now, because there's not much in the way of runoff, attrition could be steep today. There isn't any elevation change to speak of, but don't take that to mean this will be a long and boring race, because there's plenty of chances to overtake. Well, not really. We'll find out here as the walls come up very, very close today. But the best way to really understand what this place is like is, well, jump on board the GSRC Lotus 49 for a trip around Montreal.
All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Montreal. With a Senna S, you really have to swing the car in from the opposite side to line up the braking better. You'll see that a lot on this lap. There's a few lines you can take through this chicane hairpin combo, but I prefer an aggressive entry and then squaring off the exit. Applying the power will be tricky on this uphill curve. Then, brake early as you come into turn 3. Be careful with the wall on the exit, because it'll be incredibly easy to clip it if the tail snaps loose while getting to the gas. 5 is flat out in pretty much all modern race cars, but in the 49 you need a big lift through here. Make sure and pull the car back to the right and stomp the brakes for 6. Once again, the lack of downforce on this older car makes accelerating painstakingly hard. Feather it as you come onto the backstretch and then get yourself ready for the braking into 8. The long braking distances of this car means you're on the binders way before you come to the bridge. Try not to climb over these white sausage curbs too much, because they'll make the car bounce around and cost you valuable time you could use to get on the throttle. Now, as we head up the casino hairpin, even though this is still a good place to pass, you're once again swinging the car across the track to line up your braking. Your exit will also be very different in this car and sort of counterintuitive. I try to hug the inside even as I come off the corner, because there's a little rise here. If the wheel isn't perfectly straight, it'll come out from under you. I've never experienced that in any other car in iRacing, and just goes to show the incredible power inside this beast of a machine. As we fly along the fastest straight of the circuit, hold to the left and spot your brake marker. The Wall of Champions poses the same threat it always does, and I found it's best to run tight on the first apex in order to open up the second one. From there, you simply accelerate to the line, and hopefully you've now finished a lap around Montreal. That should give you an idea of just how close the walls are all around this track and why it's considered partly a street course. But let's take a look at the Drivers' Championship, Stephen, and see what the points are sitting at. Well, Ove Trangrade has now been overtaken, and Michel Dudignon leads by 7, and he's only got 3 rounds to go. In fact, there are only 3 drivers left able to take the championship mathematically. Billy Bob Wright, the last one of those, because AJ Bear, more than 27 points back now, cannot overcome Dudignon, though he's had a very good season. Gary Teal gets himself up into the top 5, a whole 36 points back. However, what do the Constructors' Championship points look like?
Is this where I say meow? Yes, Joe, the Constructors' Cup Championship looks like this. France has climbed to the top of the ladder. And with a guy named Michel Dugnan here today, that might be where they stay. 49 points there at the top. Norway sliding back to second. 7 points behind. Look at the U.S. there, stuck in third with a chance to rebound and get close to the top today. Australia, 22 points back. Finland with a real opportunity to get themselves up into fourth and maybe get into this within the last 3 rounds here.
Now, qualifying is on its way, but we're waiting for the first drivers to put their lap times in. And I believe Billy Bob Wright is going to be the first one to cross the line if he got a clean lap and notch up a time. He comes through that final chicane past the wall of champions down to the start-finish line. What is he going to get? It's a 1:32.6, a nice time. Snelson going to slot in behind him, quickly disposed by Mick Claridge, who goes to the pole.
I was going to say 132 is not enough, Joe. You're going to have to go 131, maybe even 131 flat, and that's what Claridge does. Dugnan is just now out on track, so we'll watch what he does, but he's certainly capable of getting up there. Bruce Nelson had a 131 in practice. We'll see if he can get there. Track conditions, Joe, it's 93 degrees on track. It's about 8 degrees warmer than it was in practice here just a little while ago, and it's partly cloudy now, so that certainly could be affecting the times a bit.
Dudagnan's crossing the line just now, and as his time comes on the board, it puts him in second. Interesting. Claridge not having the season that he's used to here on Saturdays, but look at the time difference between them. 4 1,000ths of a second.
Yeah, and that the difference in practice for them at one point was 1 1,000th of a second, so I'm not shocked. Look for Dugnan to really put down a flyer here.
Well, I'm hoping for our sake and for both their sakes that Mick stays in this one. We get a titanic battle between these two up at the front. How about the name in third currently? I'm not as familiar with this driver, Dave Price. I'm not sure that we've seen him racing in these Saturday races.
I don't believe so. No, name not familiar to me. Dave is here, though, and right now a really, really good first lap to get things started.
Oh, and Claridge slows, so he must have screwed up his lap because he doesn't feel it's worth completing. So we watch Dave Price, who has been topped by Bruce Nelson, who goes to the front of the second row now. Ove Trangrade bumps both of them. He gets to third. He wants to try and take this championship, even if he doesn't have the raw pace to compete. And as Price crosses the line, he gets himself back up into fourth.
All right, so Ove is a lot faster than I thought he would be. You know, I was actually faster at one point during practice than Ove Trangrade. We had about the same amount of laps. I knew he was holding out on me. That's a bad fast lap, man, a 131.8. Anything sub 132 is really, really fast around here.
Well, for the moment, the top two are going to stay how they are because Dugnan does not improve his laps, so that 4 1,000ths will stay on the front row, at least temporarily. Trangrade is on his second lap right now. Maybe he could still chop it down yet more. Other than him, I see Marco Giuliani and Andrew Ang are both setting their second lap. No, I take that back. Marco has completed his second lap. So Andrew Ang is going to be our last one along with Ove Trangrade. Oh, and Trangrade stopped on track, so he is not going to take his second lap. Wow! Already, Sean, we're seeing drivers just have tons of difficulty getting laps in that they're satisfied with.
Yeah, well, you know what? This course can be a bit frustrating, Joe. I mean, it all starts right down there at the first complex of turns there in Senna. So hard to get the car turned there, and you know that could ruin your lap just right off the start if you don't get that right.
It looks like that was Ang's out lap, as I still haven't seen him set a time.
You know, actually, I'm showing Ang's already got 2 laps in the books, Joe, just none of them registered.
Must have had more than one off.
Now, we do have Brett, no, let's go back. Neil Kemp is on course. Neil has actually only got 1 lap. That was good enough for 8th. Maybe this second one here, he's got something.
This is going to be an outlap, so he's not going to have enough time, which means our grid is set. So let's go through our qualifying order. Mick Claridge on the pole, but is ever so tight between himself and Dudignon. Now, I need to check to see if Mick has won a race yet this season or not. Ove Trangrade will start row 2 in 3rd. Dave Price outside him in 4th. Bruce Nelson will begin in 5th with Billy Bob Wright. Not the best qualifying we've seen from Billy Bob, starting in 6th. Brett Rial will be in 7th with Neil Kemp in 8th. Philip Blake will start in the 9th position, and then rounding out our top 10, Sean, it is Chris Cavan.
Okay, we're going to go to position 11 from row 6. Tommy Unhola starting 11th today. Richard Morin 12th. Simon Shaw will start 13th with Marco Giuliani in 14th. Andrew Eng start 15th today. Don, tell me something good in 16th. Marcelo Aiello will start 17th, and Laurent Rafago will start 18th. That's it today. 18 Lotus 49s. That's enough here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
As the cars line up on the grid, I'm checking, and no, Mick Claridge has not won yet this season. He has scored a total of, excuse me, I lost my points on there. A total of 6 points this season.
Ouch.
But that is out of 6 races started. He hasn't shown up at all of them, and some of that is due to connection issues, we should note. So sometimes he just hasn't even been able to show up on the track. But just not a great season, at least on Saturdays. We've mentioned it before. He's had a great set of races on other days of the week and is leading the official iRacing Championship. So Mick can hold his own, just has been a little bit snake bit. Let's see how he can fare today. He's going to have a good shot at a win. We're waiting for the rest of the cars to come out to the grid. The lights are up. Engines start revving. Green flag is out, and Mick Claridge with a bit of a bad start. Dudignon gets a jump on him, but he's on the outside into this first corner. We have a car spinning immediately.
Oh.
2 of them off and into the wall. Trying to figure out who that is. Brett Rial.
Brett Riale and
Neil Kemp.
Neil Kemp, yeah.
Oh, disappointing start, but not surprising for anybody who's ever watched a Formula One race start here at Montreal. We'll go back to the replay. Oh, and was there a cut course? Because Mick Claridge is very slow. Very, very slow. Coming through turn 5. The bad luck of this season for Mick Claridge strikes on the very first lap and practically hands it over to Michel Dudignon. Sorry, go ahead, Sean. I know you were trying to talk a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no, I was looking to see what started that for Mick, and was trying to find the off course, and it had to have been down in the first turn somewhere.
Well, as they come around the hairpin, one pass a little bit farther back in the track. I think that was Claridge on Philip Blake trying to work his way back up into the top 5. He's now in 6th. However, Dudignon leads by a whole second over Dave Price, newcomer, showing well. Let's see if he can hold on to the Frenchman.
Everybody made it through Le Pengal now, getting ready to complete their first lap.
Ooh, great exit for Ove Trangrade. Remember, he wants to try and limit the damage to set himself up well into the last 2 rounds and keep himself in this championship. He is putting the pressure on Price, though. Look at this. Certainly giving the new drivers something to think about behind them. They've got a gap to Bruce Nelson. Oh, and a bobble from Billy Bob Wright. We didn't see it on screen since we were riding on board Ove Trangrade. He's got pressure from Mick Claridge.
Yes, he does. Claridge going for the pass.
Ooh, that was awful tight and brave from Billy Bob Wright. He chopped him off at the nose.
Yeah, Mick tried to stick it in there, and Billy Bob did chop it off a little bit.
And after this pass, we're going to take a look at the replays. He's got it to the inside of the first apex. Can he out-accelerate him? Still side by side.
No! Claridge's bad season continues, Jim.
It was a hard fight but unfortunately just could not find the grip coming out of 9. Did they actually make contact here?
Yeah. Billy Bob says he didn't get any contact, but it sure looks like contact on screen. Maybe there was a bit of netcode involved there.
All right, let's take a look at Rial and Kemp. Now, I think this started with Rial just losing traction.
Yep.
Approaching the corner. Oh, no. He got bumped into.
He certainly did. It was actually Kemp that maybe had a little traction problem there and tracks out to the left and nips him.
And Kemp actually did get on the chat. Yeah, we're going to see. Oh, he just drifted over. He was looking at the car ahead. Spotter must not have told him that there was a car to the left, and that's all she wrote.
Oh, Rafago with a problem down in turn 2 down there in center. He gets passed by Don Good slipping on by. That was for 11th. Good move there by Don. Up 5 spots here early.
Don, I believe, said in the chat at one point, or in the forums between the races, that he actually tries not to be on the broadcast because that's when he gets the good results. So I'm sure he won't want the cameras on him too long.
I'll leave him alone then.
And poor Mick is even acknowledged in the chat. He says, "I shouldn't have told Sean I was going to finally finish a race."
Jeez. I got to stop talking to him on Saturday mornings.
Michel Dugnan having no such problems. He's got a 3-second gap over Price. Price is more worried about losing second place because Trangrade's still right on top of him.
Well, for a guy we haven't seen before, he certainly seems to be holding his own right now. Really nice trip there through the wall of champions and smooth sailing. But yeah, Ove Trangrade is maybe starting to turn up the wick a little bit down here into 1.
Looking very solid on the brakes as he gains ground on Dave Price. Price hailing from England himself, UK and I Club. We tend to get a few of those guys in this car, that being a British car itself. And both of them taking it all the way up to the edge of the course, using every inch of this narrow circuit. Ooh, big slide coming out of turn 7 for Trangrade. That loses him some ground. I was about to say he's all over the gearbox of Price. But look at this, a fantastic exit coming out of turn 9 down towards the hairpin. Is he going to have a go at him? You can come from a long way back as long as you make the apex. No such luck this time. Tries to tuck it in tight. Come off the corner with good acceleration, and it's going to be a drag race down to the final chicane. This is one of those straights, Sean, one of those few straights in this car where you get a little bit of a draft, but I think he's going to be a little too far back this time.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little too far back. You got to be right on him coming out of Lopingle to really make it work. Got to use the whole straightaway to make those passes because you're really, Joe, you're braking there before the bridge. Oh, here we go. Oh, Trangrade into the grass. Gonna get a cut course there for that. Yep, slowing it down now.
Oh, well, that will hurt him dearly, and he's going to have to redo all that work. Meanwhile, we missed it, but Richard Morin has moved himself up into 9th now. In fact, he got past Tommy Mikael Unhola, and I'm not sure what caused Unhola to slow down on the backstretch, but he was very slow out of the hairpin, just handing it over to Richard. Meanwhile, in 5th, Billy Bob Wright in another battle, this time with Philip Blake, who goes around the outside of turn 7. He's going to come back at him down into 8, braking well before the bridge. Sneaks that car down into the apex, gets the position back. A nice job by Billy Bob Wright.
Man.
Puts him in 5th.
Awful brave there by Billy Bob Wright. That was a nice move, Joe.
Yeah, there's a slight curve to that braking zone. They did a great job holding it side by side into there.
This hairpin is so tough. You and I talked about that hairpin right there, Joe. Finding, getting that power back down without spinning the car on exit there.
And we ride on board with Philip Blake, who's losing ground to the Floridian. So Billy Bob Wright seems to be held up by that. Now, one thing we should mention, Trangrate did lose a spot to Bruce Snelson, who's now on the podium, and I'm guessing that was due to his cut course.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had everything to do with that, Joe.
In fact, that sent him so far back, he's got 2 seconds to make up on the Club Northwest driver. So things spreading out up at the top. Still 15 laps to go. And as we've seen, though, Sean, mistakes are so easy to make, and mistakes can be costly around here.
Yeah, they really can. We've seen a couple costly ones already. Just the Ove trade grade alone, that slowdown penalty, what it's cost him, that's going to be awful hard to make up on Snelson. Snelson had a lot of practice this morning and is ready for this one. Ove's going to have to get some monster laps here and just work his way back slowly, and Snelson's just got to stay focused, realize where he's at on track, and focus on just trying to catch David Price right now.
As we watch this battle between Wright and Lake, Lake has not given up. He dropped back initially, but he has clawed his way back. You know, one of the things I find unique about this combo, Sean, is just at most tracks in this car, it is very slow in the corners and tends to make for much slower lap times compared to most vehicles. But there are some very long straights as Lake has a big bobble coming out of the Quebec chicane. But yeah, just the incredible speeds these cars get because of the long straightaways is impressive.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously the trip through Casino down the backstretch, you get to really experience the horsepower of this machine. Now, the downside of that is you're, as I said a few moments ago, you're braking before the bridge there, Joe, at about the 5 marker. That's a ways back from the turn in there.
Oh, on screen, we see a pass between Morin and Unhola. Unhola takes it, but Morin's still under threat. He must have had a slowdown because here goes Don Good as well.
Don Good getting another position. Just keeps moving up here, Joe.
Andrew Ang approaching, but Morin, I think, has finally served the slowdown as he gets back on pace, but that one hurt. If you're just joining us again, this is round 10 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. We've had 3 DNFs. Mick Claridge, yet again, Brett Rial and Neil Kemp are all out of this race. 15 of our 18 starters still going. And this train is one of the closest fights we've got. This is all for a top 10. Don Good is leading them. Excuse me, in 9th. Onhola is leading the train. Come down towards that final chicane yet again. Don Good not close enough this time, but Morin has Ang closing up under the braking behind these two.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? This is a good train of cars right here. We got 5 of them, and none of these positions are safe, I think, here at this point, Joe. They've all got pretty good pace. They're all running about the same lap times. Marco Giuliani back here in 13th, actually having a pretty good run.
I believe he had a bit of a mistake earlier on that we caught, and he's trying to make a bit of a recovery. Right now, just cruising around behind in the popcorn position. As you said, if a mistake happens from any one of these drivers, things could erupt. Apparently, we're getting some lap traffic, I believe, for our leaders as Dave Price gets by Marcelo Aiello, currently the last car running. And Price, to be fair, with still 13 laps to go, Price is within 5 seconds of Dudagnon, so he's not dropping too terribly fast.
Well, you know what? Dudagnon had a little bit of a problem on the last lap. He was slow, and Dave Price gained 2 seconds on him that last time around, so definitely something. Oh, wait a minute. Big development here. Oh, that's Aiello getting out of the way. I'm sorry. Ove Tringarade allowed to come through. But here comes Billy Bob Wright. Closing in on Ove Tringarade now. It's down to 1.4 seconds.
And Wright has all to fight for to try and catch Ove because, remember, he is behind him in the championship. And in fact, he is only 11 points back. So he has got to hustle. He's got to make inroads in this round if he wants to be able to take second in this championship. I believe, though, if things finish as they are, Billy Bob Wright will not be able to overtake Michel Dudignon, and then it will be down to 2. Actually, I'm trying to, and I know this is dangerous for me to bring up math on GSRC, Sean. But I believe that if Dudignon wins and Ove doesn't score, I think that is the championship, because with 2 rounds to go, I think he'll be more than 2 wins away. Actually, no, wait, no, I take that back.
Do we need to wake Soup up?
We might need to.
Okay.
We'll have to get out Adam's calculator or something. Meanwhile, Giuliani has got himself another spot. He's up into 12th, has overtaken Don Good. And that one happened into the hairpin. Actually, Good had a problem.
Yep. He had it. Good had a problem in the hairpin there. Oh, we've got somebody spinning on, Philip Lake spinning on screen there.
Yeah, that was down in turns 3 and 4. Let's look at the replay. Under braking. Looks like that rear end just came around on him. And I believe this didn't lose him a position because Chris Cabin came up upon him, but had no way to get around. You could see he's still very close behind him as they come down the lakeside stretch, riverside stretch, I should say.
Got a good battle for 8th going on. Simon Shaw trying to hold off Tommy Unhola. Unhola picking him up here. Heading down to the turn 8 chicane now.
And the Finn putting the pressure on to Shaw, but unable to do anything with it through 8 and 9. Oh, but look at this. A little bit of a defensive move from Shaw, swings back over. Unhola looks to the inside, down to the hairpin, not brave enough on the brakes. Comes back to the racing line, tries to line himself up for the exit, almost gets the rear end of the car ahead, and he's going to lose all kinds of ground.
Yep. And that won't be enough to make a pass down into the wall of champions. He'll get a little bit of the toe here, but not enough. He's going to run in a room on the brakes.
Tries to get over both apexes. Gets a great launch out of the final chicane. Here we go. Could be a great opportunity if he's brave. Down into the Senna S. Nothing doing there. Swings back out once again, trying to set himself up, but closes in. Always seems to have that momentum ruined just about the time they come out of a corner. This time he manages to stay with him down into 3 and 4. Staying on that gearbox. Up around the marginal turn 5, right up against that wall. Loses ground though. Closes in into the braking of 6.
Braking. You know, when you talk about the braking, I just think about all the different cars I've driven on the iRacing service and truck. And the braking zone here, just so far. You have to forget everything you ever learned about any other car and really change it up here on the Lotus 49.
That is certainly true, and some of them have a curve or a kink to them, making it all the more difficult. Now these two are catching up to Aiello. This is a lapped car, so this is not for position. Shaw this time with a bad exit, and Unhola is definitely going to be within the slipstream. This is going to be the best opportunity we've seen yet. He looks to the inside. Oh, but he lifts very early. He's not willing to take it. Oh, this is a bad place for Aiello to try and let them by. Somehow he does it. And through the chicane, they both get by the lapped car without incident. Now, Unhola is Finnish, but I can't help but wonder if he was Spanish, would his last name be Goodbye?
Oh.
Just wondering.
Joe. What do I do with that one? All right, Simon Shaw trying to hold off Unhola here. I'll tell you what, this is a good one to watch. We should stay on it. It's one of the best ones on track right now. You keep wondering if Shaw is going to crack here.
He's done a fantastic job with this. He's taken very few times to go offline and go defensive. Oh, this is another good run from Unhola. Just runs out of track every time.
Important to keep the car off to the right there as you head down into this hairpin. Gets a little bumpy in the center of the track and off to the left.
Swings it out wide, but that's going to make it hard to get on the power through that little kink. And you can see how safe that keeps Simon Shaw. As they come down the long straight to that final chicane yet again. Now down to 8 laps to go. Not missing anything up on the podium. We can stay with this battle. Dudagnon leads by 7.5 seconds over Price, who's got a 2-second lead over Snelson. Trangrade has not been able to recover from his initial slowdown, amazingly. And Trangrade, we have to say, if he finishes where he is, absolutely must beat Dudagnon in the next round if he wants to take it to the final round for the championship. There we see Trangrade in his traditional Honda colors. Glad to see he's still flying that flag. Really brave about taking quite a bit of curb through that last chicane, though.
Hey, only the brave survive here at this one, Joe.
Oh, that is incredibly true.
And speaking of brave, man, Unhola is still sending her deep. Andrew Ng is now into this battle. He's caught up also.
That's what I was just about to mention. He's not close enough to attack yet, but the more these two fight, the closer Andrew Ng gets. They've also got Richard Morin not far back. He could make it a 4-car fight for this 8th position. And now as they come through that last chicane past the wall of champions, Andrew Ng is now well and truly within reach. 8/10. Here comes Unhola. He sends one in deep down into the first corner. He's got the apex.
Oh.
He's well past, but he goes wide at the second corner. Can he get the acceleration off of it? Here comes Simon Shaw trying to come back up the inside as they come down to turn 3. But he's going to have to give up the ghost, and amazingly in all of that, Andrew Ng was not able to get by.
Man, and Ng was right there. I mean, he had it set up. I thought he had the move done and just couldn't pull it off.
Beautiful move by Unhola. What patience did he show? And I did not expect that one. It was just suddenly weaved to the inside, boom, and he had it.
Well, and a great job by Shaw, too, managing that well. You know, being man enough to let the overtake happen and not... Yep, Ng with a problem there. Misses the braking zone.
That was 2 wheels into the dirt, it looked like to me, going a little wide. And that hands it over to Morin. Once again, utilizing that popcorn position nicely in that number 15 to get him into the top 10. Interesting development happening up towards the front of the field. Remember, it was close to 2 seconds between Snelson and Price. Well, it is down to 1 second.
Yep, Snelson using all that practice time this morning to kind of pay off here late in this race.
Curious if this is Price losing pace, Snelson gaining pace, or potentially, wonder if Price may be underfueled a little bit.
Not sure, Joe. It does look like Snelson. I'm just checking his lap times right now. He has been steadily gaining ground here, a little bit better every lap here over the last, last 5 laps?
With only 6 to go, this could get very spicy for the middle of the podium. It is not settled by any means.
I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as this is happening, I'm keeping half an eye on Lake and Cavan because those two have stayed close ever since Philip Lake's mistake a number of laps ago. So that also could erupt any moment.
Indeed, Joe. Indeed. As we watch them come through here, thinking to myself, I don't think we've seen anybody add their name to the Wall of Champions today.
Is that commentator's curse right there, though, Sean? You're the one that said it, not me. I'm just
saying, if anybody wants to jump out real quick and slap their name on the wall, they can certainly do it before this is over.
Ove Tranquerade, and this is down into 6. He's in an unusual spot. Now, I don't see him hit anything on the lead up. He just pulls over. This must be something happening that we're just not aware about in real life.
Yeah, he's manually disconnected. I don't know what happened there, Joe.
Oh, disappointment for Trangrade. This is going to set him back even further. And Billy Bob Wright is now bumped into 4th. I believe that is 3 points. So that is going to put him within 8 points of Ove Trangrade. So within a win in the final 2 rounds.
Man, Snelson has caught Price. It's just no 2 ways around that. 4 laps to go here. All 4 of these are going to be on the edge.
And I've watched Snelson race in this series as well as in the Pacific Majors. He is a tough customer. He is going to fight hard for this position. Hard but fair, I should say. In fact, I've raced side by side with Bruce a number of times myself. Down to half a second between himself and Price. They slowed up for turn 8. Doesn't make any ground. In fact, loses a little bit. Regains it on the exit. If you're just joining us, this is for the podium position, 2nd and 3rd to be decided between these two.
You know, I'm thinking maybe Chris Cavan's still really got an outside chance here to maybe pull off a move on Philip Blake. I know Phil's not going to give anything up here. But 5th place, looking like maybe a reality here for Cavan. We'll see. It's another good battle on track.
Lake's another newcomer to the Lotus 49s. We've seen him plenty over in the 79s, but an extremely different car, even though it's made by the same team in Formula One. So much more downforce in the 79 than there is in the 49. Completely different driving style. And Lake, looking at a top 5, I'd say he's adapted quite well so far.
He's got to be really careful, though, here. Cavan is pushing hard. Don't remember seeing Cavan. Do you remember seeing Cavan this season?
I do not. Cavan, I believe, I'm not sure that this is his first race, but certainly hasn't done a lot on the broadcasted races as they put another lap on Aiello. We should note that Brett Rial managed to fix his car and come back out, but we are still at only 15 running with Trangrade having retired. In fact, at this point, I think Brett Rial is just looking for a bit of safety rating as he's not going to be able to overtake any cars at 14 laps down.
Oh boy, here we go. Snelson got a good exit there. Out of Lapingle, he's gonna get in his toe. Not gonna be enough to pass him here, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a little far back. But he is going to gain some ground. Look at him close up right on that gearbox. He cuts it way over that first curb to try and line up the exit. But it's not enough. Look at the grip that Dave Price gets out of there. Meanwhile, I do want to mention Andrew Ng managed to overtake Morin through that same corner last lap. That puts Ng up into 9th. In fact, Andrew Ng, quite a mover this race. He started in 15th. That's 6 positions. He's gone up the order.
And that, Joe, is a good day.
Absolutely.
With this group of drivers, this car, this track combination.
That's a third of the field, actually. Meanwhile, we watch this fight between Price and Snelson. Still putting the pressure on. Coming up to one of the more popular places to make an overtake. And all this fighting has done is just allowed the Frenchman to stretch away even more. He's got 11 seconds over Price. Now, Price looked a little bit defensive that time. And he climbs over the curb. That's going to hurt his exit. This is the best opportunity that we've seen for Bruce Snelson. Does he stay to the inside? Yes, he does, but not far enough to the inside. Bruce Snelson looks to the right side. He's side by side, down into the braking zone. Can he get him into the final chicane as the white flag comes out? And he's got it done. The Northwest driver moves himself into second.
Boy, oh boy, did Snelson take advantage of that or what? That was all about paying attention.
1 lap to respond for Dave Price. He peeks to the inside, down to the Senna S, but can't do anything with it. He slips wide on the exit. That's going to hurt him as he loses tenths coming off the corner. Through 3 and 4 they go, now into 5.
If you're Bruce, you just got to watch yourself here and make sure you don't get any kind of a slowdown penalty.
The heavy braking zones means that there are opportunities for Dave Price to try and come back at him, but he's running out of them as they come up to 8 and 9. Too far back into this corner. Tries to close in very late on the brakes to regain that ground, and it looks like it may have worked. It's going to be the last good opportunity before that final chicane, and he's not close enough. Ahead of them, a car goes off. That is Don Good. Meanwhile, Michel Dudignon with 1 corner to go, looking to finally take this championship. It was a long time for him to recover the points, but as the Frenchman comes to the line, he takes the win here today in Canada.
And Snelson with a last lap pass. It looks like he's going to hang on through the wall of champions. He's through. Give Snelson second place here today in Montreal.
The price was right for him, that's for sure. But Dave does take a podium. Not a bad job for his first race that we've seen for him here in the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. Billy Bob Wright going to be just off the podium and gain ground on Ove Trangarade.
Oh, and Philip Blake misses the chicane there to finish 5th.
Yeah, he better hope that he serves that slowdown penalty enough so that he doesn't get a cut course. Amazingly, Cavan was not close enough to take advantage. But how about Cavan? The first race that we think we've seen him in here on the broadcast gets himself a point. And in all that battling in the mid-pack, Tommy Unhola, the Finn, is going to be able to take home 7th place just outside of the points. And Snelson gets on the chat saying that he is soaked in sweat.
As Simon Shaw just comes across, finishes 8th. It's still up 5 spots. It's still a good race for him there.
Giuliani is going to be our last one to cross the line with an 11th place finish. With that, we're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Also on screen, stick around because we'll have all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to the circuit. Gilles Villeneuve. We just watched round 10 of the Lotus 49 Golden Anniversary World Cup. Michel Dudagnan takes another win, and it was a whole 13 seconds over Bruce Nelson, who had a fantastic pass on the penultimate lap to get himself into P2. Dave Price, a newcomer, has been on iRacing less than a year, we found out. He is one to watch, that is for sure. He gets himself a podium in a series that is not easy to get podiums on. Billy Bob Wright does finish in fourth and gains some ground on Ove Trangerade into the championship. Philip Lake takes a top 5, and Chris Cavan gets a single point here today in 6th. Tommy Unhola comes home in 7th with Simon Shaw in 8th. Andrew Ang finishes 9th, and Richard Morin, how about a race for him, going from 12th to 10th, Sean?
Marco Giuliani will finish 11th today. Don, tell me something good in 12th. Lauren Rafago will finish 13th. Marcelo Ayala, 14th. Ove Trangerade, 15th. 16th goes to Brett Reale. Neil Kemp in 17th. And Mick Claridge rounds out your 18-car field. Tough luck again for Mick Claridge.
Well, we don't have any of our podium yet. If Dave Price is watching, Dave, come talk to us. We'd love to hear from you. But we do have Billy Bob Wright, who finished in 4th, to tell us how his race went. And Billy Bob, it seemed like you kind of finished a little bit in no man's land. You had Philip Lake behind you, but you certainly had a good fight, at least momentarily, with Mick Claridge there.
Well, apologies to Mick, although in watching the replay, I'm not sure if it was totally my fault, but I moved a little further right than I wanted to because the wheels were spinning, and unfortunately we clipped wheels, so very unfortunate there. I don't know, did you can you guys tell me what happened to Mick that he fell back there with us? Did he get a slowdown?
Let me jump in, Joe. I still don't really know why he got a slowdown. It had to have been in a turn 1. That was the only spot that I see he could have picked one up at.
Yeah, just unfortunate. I was honestly just racing to have some fun with him. I knew on the straightaway I was going to, let him get by because there was no question he's faster than I was. So just really upset that I took him out, especially with all the problems he's had on Saturday. So I guess his bad luck continuing. But I just watched the replay on Uwe, and I don't understand that at all. I'm pretty sure he got a slowdown in the first chicane, and then he just pulled off.
Yeah, we weren't totally aware of what happened to him either. We got the replay of him pulling off around turn 6 and then exiting out of the sim, and we're just as baffled as you, especially with the championship on the line. It's a bit sad to see that this is going to put him even farther away from Michel towards the final rounds. Now, we noticed that there were quite a few finishers out there today, actually, more than we expected. Do you think that everybody was kind of keeping it at 90% out there to maybe try and bring it home? Were you racing that way today?
Yeah, for the most part. A couple early, I had some really hard racing where I was definitely pushing 100%. But as soon as anybody got any kind of gap on me, I slowed it down because, as you know, this place is famous for really a lot of carnage. So if we got a lot of finishers, that was surprising here. But not one of my favorite tracks, honestly. It's kind of point and shoot, and I really didn't practice a whole lot this week. But if I came out with points, I'm happy with that. I didn't think I was going to get them because there were some new guys here that are really going quick, and as you saw, they finished right up in the top there.
Now, next track that, speaking of favorites, actually, you guys are going to Spa, and I know a lot of drivers in the Lotus 49 series love racing at Spa. How do you think you'll fare there? It's entirely different to this track.
Yeah, my hope there is just to have a solid result. I mean, you can win there if you get your timing just right, but that hasn't worked out for me so far. But, as long as you can stay on the draft, as you guys know, at that place, and it's so fun because the cars are going so fast, and when you're close to each other, you don't realize how fast you're going until you go back and look at how much how quick the cars are going. So great track, love it, looking forward to it, and looking forward to seeing the broadcast there for sure.
How fast are they going, Billy Bob?
Well, the fastest I've seen is 223. So I think that's a little unrealistic for the real car. I think they had problems with the front ends lifting when they got above about 190, if I remember right. But 223 is the biggest run I've ever seen there.
You know what? You talked about the new guys that had shown up today. That Dave Price was impressive, man. We were talking about the fact that he's only been on the service less than a year, but then we also found out he's a good friend of Mick. So maybe that makes a little bit of sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say so, because I tell you, that guy is solid, man. He stayed behind me. I can't remember if it was at Nürburgring or Bathurst, but he obviously showed me that he is just completely comfortable in the car. He could maintain 3/10 on me for lap after lap, and then as soon as I made a mistake, boom, he was by. So he's a good addition. He obviously knows how to race well, and he's quick. I just hope I can keep up with him.
Okay, and Mick is out here pleading. He wants me to let you know it really wasn't your fault. Quit beating yourself up. Everything's cool. All right.
I appreciate that, Mick, but I think I had a little more to do with that happening than you did. So again, apologies, buddy. I know your Saturday run has just been awful, but
it's been just short of just absolutely terrible, man. It's been the worst season.
Well,
probably
I think the mystery of this championship will be, why did Uwe Tringried pull off the track here at this event? Because as you said, man, that was huge implications for the championship, and from what I can see, he just pulled off. So I don't know. I mean, hey, I'll take it.
Well, Billy Bob, hey buddy, thanks a lot, man. Great talking to you, and well, we'll catch you next week, my friend.
Always a good time, guys. Looking forward to next week. Gonna be fun. Gonna go watch the broadcast. See you then.
All right, Joe, and that was Billy Bob, right? Good day for him. Not all bad. He does take home a top 5 finish in 4th.
Certainly does, and nothing to be ashamed of in this crowd. That's about what we're used to seeing from Billy Bob, just kind of on the outskirts of the podium, sometimes sneaking him in. And he, of course, also has a win this season, we should note. But we're going to close up today, and of course we want to thank Jack Ulstead and Benjamin Zocco, who helped bring this broadcast to air. They do a lot of organization behind the scenes, both in the points championship and getting all the drivers together to try and make sure that this thing happens. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen, and additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, and we're on Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. Next race, as we mentioned, we are going to Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps. That'll be Saturday, November 25th at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. We also have other upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so you can check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.